Parkins? How shocking is it that the #1 Pistons
It's a
are
big number.
facing elimination? 24 turnovers over the last
It's a
3
record,
games
yeah.
for Cade.
How shocked? Not shocking at all.
Come on, man.
Listen, hold on, Nick. The Magic side of this is obviously surprising because of how bad they looked at the end of the year. They lost the play-in game and all of that. The Pistons had all of the makings of the overachieving regular season team that when the playoffs came around, the rest of the league would catch up to them. Doesn't mean that Cade isn't great. Doesn't even mean that Jalen Duren isn't great and isn't going to be great and the Pistons don't have a really bright future. But so much of what the Pistons did in the regular season was we try harder than everybody. We're young, we're hard-nosed, well-coached, overachieved, and then teams catch up. And some teams get a little worse in the playoffs, some teams stay the same, and some teams, when everyone else's competitive level, it rises and catches up for the playoffs, they get worse. And the Pistons are getting worse across the board. Their best players are getting worse. Cade, we can look at it. Cade is turning the ball over more because it's one-dimensional, which we talked about all year. So teams can game plan for it over the course of a series. His efficiency is going down. Jalen Duren, an effort player, not the most skilled big at this point, and a very young player. He has been solved, flatly outplayed by Wendell Carter Jr., and their offense is abysmal in a series against a team that isn't playing very well. So we've seen it with a Hawks team that was a 1 seed, a Raptors team, a Bulls team. This happens. It happens.
I'm going to give you a compliment, Danny.
Thank you.
The Pistons are in worse shape than the Cavs.
That's not the compliment I was looking for.
But seriously, the Cavs should still win their series. The Pistons, who I picked to get to the finals, look done.
I tried to warn you.
I don't necessarily agree with the analysis, although I do. That does happen. I think that happens to some Thibodeau's teams. I think this is a tough matchup. And I said, look, I don't think Orlando matches up with the Knicks better than Detroit. I don't necessarily think they would play better against Boston or even Cleveland than Detroit. But head to head, they look better than the Pistons. Simply better. And it's because the Magic, whatever clicked, and I'm not sure it won't click off, maybe during this series at some point, but something clicked where they're playing the level of defense they did a year ago when they were the second best defensive team in the league. And they, even though they aren't playing great offense, they at least have 4 guys, really 3 big ones in Bane, Banchero, and Wagner, who are legitimate scorers. The Pistons have 1 scorer. And that's why I don't even think Cade is playing that poorly. I just think the Magic are loading up in the paint so you can't get to the bucket. And then they're, throwing double teams at him, getting the ball out of his hands. It's almost 1 against 4 out there for him offensively. So
they're a one-dimensional team.
So
that gets exposed.
So I agree with you that is what is happening here. And I think a lot of your general Piston skepticism is being proven correct. Where I disagree with you is that, this is what happens when these teams get to the playoffs. Never in round 1. That Hawks team that we talked about made the conference finals and then got clocked by LeBron and the Cavs. The Raptors always made round 2 or the conference finals and then got clocked by LeBron and the Cavs. The Bulls did lose in round 1, but Derrick Rose tore his ACL.
No doubt.
And
doubt.
But the Bulls team that you're talking about that won 60 games when D Rose won MVP, then lost to LeBron and the Heat. We do see teams that are regular season juggernauts and playoff. We don't see this. This is incredibly rare and it's not as if they are playing a team. It would have made more sense if the 8 seed here was Atlanta or Charlotte.
Yep.
2 teams that, and I know Atlanta ended up getting all the way up to the 6 seed, but 2 teams that for 50 games at the end of the year were playing great. Orlando was dead in the water according to everyone but me, and it was really, for me, it wasn't because of belief in Orlando, it was because of anti-belief in Charlotte, going into the final play-in game. They were firing Jamal Mosley. Paolo was out on the coach. They had just played maybe their 2 worst games of the year to the Celtics in game 82.
Yes, I agree with you, but that analysis was wrong. And the Pacers came out of nowhere last year. And there is more talent in the NBA now than arguably ever before. Like you just mentioned, the Magic have 3 great scorers, not scoring particularly well in this series. Right. Jalen Suggs jumps off the screen as an energy defense guy, as does Bane, as does Carter. Yeah. Wagner, a great player who's hurt most of the year, healthy. Now I know he's not with the calf strain, but like a legitimate difference maker for them. Like it's just
they're not a typical 8th seed.
They're not a typical 8th seed. They got healthy at the right time and are playing well. And the Pistons are one-dimensional.
So you were right about the Pistons. I disagree. I don't think the Magic are playing that well.
I don't either.
No, I don't. That's the thing. No, I don't think the Magic all of a sudden clicked.
You don't think they? I do think they've clicked. I think just to get in this series, they had to click. Because we didn't think they. I mean, like you said, they lost to Philly.
Well, they beat Charlotte.
They pounded Charlotte.
Yes, correct. I mean, the Charlotte's it makes the play-in every other year and then loses by 30. Can we, Christina? Do we have the final 5.5 minutes of this game? Because it was 85-85. And the rest of the game, Orlando made 1 basket. And it was a banked-in 3. And they won by 6 because in the biggest game of the year, for the final half of the 4th quarter, that's what Detroit did. Throwing out the garbage time layup that I'm sure Joker would have been very mad about. And so, listen, I want to give Orlando credit for not letting go of the rope of their season and credit for the defense that they're playing in this series. But Orlando is not playing great basketball.
No, these are moderately open shots that are just missing.
I think this is more of a stinging indictment on Detroit than anything else, because you aren't supposed to lose as a 1 seed, obviously. No. You're not supposed to be a 60-win team. We haven't had a 60-win team lose in round 1 in almost 15 years. This is stunning. And even you, someone who didn't believe in Detroit, thought they were going to get clipped by Cleveland.
That's correct.
Nobody, I don't think the only person I heard talking that maybe Orlando was a bad matchup was Jason Temp, the guy who invented roll gravity. So shout out to Jason.
Big muff.
But I am stunned by this. Like legitimately, truly stunned that they look like this in this round.
I just think in retrospect, weird year in the Eastern Conference. There's no Halliburton. Giannis has a ton of injuries. Tatum has a ton of injuries. The Knicks, a good team, but very inconsistent at times this year. The Pistons were healthy, and they tried really hard. So they got inflated. Their regular season record is inflated. They are not a typical 60-win team. If we ranked the last 25 teams to win 60 games.
There's teams tanking. That's the other.
They'd be low on 60 wins.
I agree with that, but so if we remove the Pistons from the East, and we were like, hey, who are the 3 best teams? In some order, we'd say Boston, New York, and Cleveland. Guess what? Those teams are 2, 3, 4 in the seeding. We can say the Pistons are just healthy, except the fact their best player missed the last month with a collapsed lung, and they won anyway. Like, this is not supposed to happen, what is happening to Detroit right now. And if I were a Pistons fan, I'd be beside myself, because this type of playoff loss, and I think this is kind of where maybe it's where you're going, maybe not, makes you rethink, wait, was this whole year fake? Like, do we just run this back and be like, young players get better, or is this team, are we going to be the next team that spins the Kevin Durant wheel?
No,
says that's I
actually think this, obviously you don't want to lose, but if they do, it can be a good thing. It can show you exactly who you are. We're not a 60-win team. So they know now they got to go out and get another stud offensive player. Durant.
No, I
mean, it's literally just what Houston did.
Yeah,
Houston was a 2 seed. They were
They also haven't lost yet. It's not like Magic can't give this up.
Well, that part's true.
They have, to
we're
me,
a little bit over.
They have looked over. They look like they've just been hanging on for dear life, Detroit.
Yeah, KW, you love
but I agree with you.
81% of Game 5 winners win a series. What about when it's 2-2? When a series 3-1, what is it? 17 ever have come back? It's like 6.5%.
Very rare. But
like,
it's not great, don't get me wrong. But with Wagner's injury there and Orlando, we're acting like Detroit has averaged 98 points, and we're like, they can't score. Orlando's averaged 100 points.
No, Orlando is very inconsistent.
Massive gap. Rebounding is the same. Bickerstaff saying crash. Rebounding is like, this isn't this huge
an 8-1
gulf.
upset where the 8 seeds got 38-31 splits is just
It's a weird series.
incomprehensible.
I could see Detroit coming back.
That's
we
true.
always think you just slot the Bears in here to give.
Well, they're number 1 in my heart.
Yeah, okay.
You know, but they're not in the top 10. I would have liked some edge rush help. We can get to that if we have time. Coming in number 10, Bruce Ravens.
I like it.
Plug and play. Everyone mocked him to him, except me. But Vega goes to the Ravens at 14. Should help Lamar Jackson, who just had one of the worst sack percentage years of his career, one of the worst pressure seasons of his career. Continue Derrick Henry, great run blocker. And Zion Young. A lot of people thought he was a fringe first-round pick. Thought that was good value for them in the second round. The Tennessee Titans come in at number 9. I love Carnell Tate. I think he has, this is obviously the absolute ceiling of a comp, JSN level.
Wow!
Yes.
Oh, my.
A great route runner, great hands, and he's done things at all 3 levels of the field. You can't, if you're trying to evaluate Cam Ward, it can't just be Wan'Dale Robinson as your big upgrade there. Like, I think that he's a legitimate chance to be a number 1 receiver. I loved that for them. Coming to number 8, the Bucs. We spent a lot of time talking about the collapse of Tampa through the prism of Baker Mayfield because we talk quarterbacks. But their defense after week 10, 25th in points allowed. They went 2-7 down the stretch, and they used 4 of their top 5 picks on defense, including, I thought, getting great value on Reuben Bain Jr. They needed to invest on defense, and they did. Number 7, the Miami Dolphins. Now, they had the most picks in the draft, so they got to throw the most darts at the board. I loved Caden Proctor, whether it's for Malik Willis or the next quarterback, an absolute monster of a left tackle. But also strategically, I'm not sure that any of these picks are going to win them a bunch of games this year. But like, they're good, solid pieces at important positions that aren't necessarily going to win games now, but they're more developmental for the future, so they can still be in the quarterback market next year. I just thought they approached it very smart. One of the youngest teams in the NFL.
Oh, you think the Dolphins are in the quarterback market?
Next year.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Malik Willis.
It's a bridge.
You think he's just a bridge?
You think Malik Willis is a bridge?
Seems like
quarterback?
they're going to be the worst team in the league. I agree with Danny.
Yeah, like if they have the number 1 pick in the draft, I think they draft quarterback. If Malik Willis is good enough for them to not be picking top 5, he probably played so well that they won't be taking quarterbacks. I just thought it was a very smart way to approach your resources this year. At number 6, the Detroit Lions. They took Blake Miller. I like Derek Moore, who they needed some help for Aiden Hutchinson. He stays in-state, the kid from Michigan. But if you go back and look, they need to bring a strength back to Detroit. The 2024 offensive line for Detroit is when we knew all of the names. They were the best rushing team. They were among the best scoring teams. 80% are gone. So you get a plug-and-play tackle, and now all of a sudden you have Miller and Sewell. I think all of a sudden that becomes a strength again for them. Coming in at number 5, the Vegas Raiders. We could talk about mid-round picks. This felt like the right place to do when I woke up and I was like, you know what? Fernando Mendoza, he's in a better spot as a number 1 pick than Cam Ward, than Bryce Young, arguably than Caleb Williams walked into when you figure
certainly in better spot than the Prince. The Prince had to save that whole franchise.
Yeah, so just all of a sudden you start comparing. It's like, it's a pretty good situation. Coming in at number 4, the New York Jets. A lot of people have them at number 1. They had 3 first-round picks. I liked all of them. We'll get to the other teams in a second. But in addition to Bailey and Sadiq and Cooper, they just said, we're also going to instill a winning culture. Their top 4 picks, that's their record last year in college football, 57.
I like that.
Everybody went to the college football playoff. 2 guys national champions in Cooper and Pons. It's just, hey, we are going to get important players at big-time skill positions.
You don't need to scout too much. Just watch the college football play.
Yeah, exactly. Just watch college football playoff. Take the best players off the best teams. The New York Giants, though, come in at number 3. Arvell Reese's ceiling is ridiculous. That's now 7 former first-round picks on the defensive side of the ball. Maui Noah, the offensive lineman from Miami, it's like you help Jackson Dart, you upgrade an offensive line that is consistently ranked in the bottom third of the league over the last 5 years in the NFL. So you help your offense, you help your defense. I like how they split it there. Coming to number 2, the Cleveland Browns. They simply needed offense. Fauno, the top pick, versatile. He can play tackle after they did the interior offensive lineman moves in the offseason. But their defense was good. Their offense was abysmal. 31st in the NFL in scoring, and if the other team scored 20, they didn't win a single game. They used 8 of their 10 picks on the offensive side of the ball. If either Concepcion or Boston hits, that's a huge thing, and maybe the Browns are actually a good spot for a quarterback to be drafted to next year. And number 1, the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow.
Again, best player available at a position of need. And you were able to trade around in the first round to pick up extra capital to ensure that you get Caleb Downs, to take the edge that you liked in Malachi Lawrence. We know their secondary was abysmal. They upgraded that. 6 picks in the first 4 rounds, 5 of them on the defensive side of the ball. Whatever happens with Pickens, the offense is going to be good. They have given themselves a chance to have a legitimate defense this year. I loved how the Cowboys approached the draft.
Wow.
Brew?
Well done. I like your list. Browns, look, they drafted well last year.
Yeah.
If this year is even close to that, then they got something going. I would have the Giants 1 if they had taken Caleb Downs at 10. So I'm with you on the Cowboys. I think that's just what they needed because in addition to his play, I just think his character, he's a leader. I think he's going to bring communication and just what they need to that defense. So I'm with you on the Cowboys as number 1. I don't usually speak that highly of the Cowboys, but job well done.
Well, hey, if he's the best player in the draft and you got him at 11,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Bonus take.
Bonus take, yes.
Is that allowed, Brew? You said earlier that was your lane.
No.
During the OT, I'm allowed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's in the bylaws, sorry.
Bonus take is I did not like the Dolphins draft. They had a lot of dart throws. I think they ended up putting holes in the wall more on the dartboard. And if I had to find a team that's not on your list, I might have put the Chiefs. But
Shocking.
it's bonus take. Real take is this. You okay, buddy?
Fine. How are you?
I know you're sad.
Sad.
You don't want to say it, but you think the Bears kind of blew it, and you're not.
Oh.
And you're the fact
I
that
would
you
never say
couldn't
so.
even.
I mean, you said they
squeeze
had
them into
to
10.
ace them.
Yeah,
They had.
They were on your top
You
spot.
couldn't even squeeze it. Not even in the top third of the drafts. They had a bunch of needs. They ended up having to use a premium pick at center because a guy retired.
Yeah, that's not great.
They probably need a left tackle because of injury. They weren't able to use a premium pick there.
Yeah.
And their biggest need was edge rusher.
Yeah.
And instead they took the safety.
Wow.
Got to play the board, Nick. The board did not fall the way they wanted to at those positions. Thieneman, day 1 starter. That plug and play. People had him going mid-teens to the Vikings. You get him at 25. You know what they call that?
Value.
Value.
Oh, yeah. Let me hear about it.
Exactly.
I can't believe you're doing
And
this.
then, look, edge rusher, if you got the number 1 offense in football,
Yeah.
you're going to just be playing from out in front the whole time.
So you did like their draft.
Yeah, of course. Well, you know,
Just
it was
not as
I'm
much
saying,
as the
I'm
Titans.
saying I like the team.
Not as much.
I like the
Dolphins.
team.
The-
They're not going to get aggressive and trade up for guys. Board didn't fall how they wanted to get edge rush.
You're worried.
Jadeveon Clowney's going to be a Bear. Maybe DJ Reader's going to be a Bear.
Jadeveon Clowney's going to be a
Yeah, they're going to address that as a
Is it-
veteran free agent.
What, are we
Solve
playing
it.
Michigan? And
Wow. Did have that
He had that one
off-
great
Oh
hit.
my God.
That knocked
Fix the
the
ball,
guy's
helmets off,
Yeah.
grab the ball.
Yeah.
I don't know. This
That
season
was
started
great.
today. I'm not worried.
You're worried. Be
I-
honest, Danny. You're worried about your Bears.
Is there any sweat on this brow?
You're a little worried about your Bears. Didn't fall the way you wanted.
I would've-
wanted an edge rusher and
Would have liked an edge rusher.
second safety.
Wasn't
taken in the draft.
available. Wasn't available.
Clowney. I like Clowney.
I like Clowney too. Former number
I
1 overall
loved him about
pick.
See if
2 years
Mario
ago.
Williams is available.
So I expect George Pickens to not be available for any of the OTA offseason program, mini camp, possibly even training camp.
Great.
Simply because he can miss all of that and not be fined. He obviously wants a contract extension. We've heard Stephen Jones come out and say, we're not extending George Pickens in 2026. I do believe that they're going to stand firm on that. He doesn't have leverage. He played great. Is he deserving of a contract extension? Yes. But in this situation with the Dallas Cowboys, you have CeeDee Lamb. If they did not have another guy that could allow their offense to still thrive and understanding who they have at the quarterback position, then I think you have to make this move. But to pay 2 receivers, and you look across the landscape of the National Football League, and it hasn't paid off for the team, a lot of the teams that have tried to do it. And so if you're the Cowboys, you got him for a 3rd round. He overplayed that value.
He was excellent, yeah.
And now you can tag him. Unfortunately for George Pickens, fortunately for the organization. So I don't see him coming in for the offseason at all.
I don't see him coming in for the offseason either, but that does not mean that there won't still be a lot of twists and turns and drama in this story, because I do believe that is what Jerry wants. Call it cynical. That Netflix documentary came out, and he said, drama, 24/7, 365. He wants people to be talking about them. And so, I don't know if you're a soap opera guy. I am not, but
I was actually.
Were you? Okay, I was workshopping, so I'm like, as the star turns.
As the world turns?
Well, yeah, no, I know. I'm thinking about Cowboys themes one. Thank you. Keeping Up with the Joneses.
Okay.
Days of Our Cowboys. If I go back, let's go back last year. Okay, yeah, Jerry Jones, the main attraction. So this is the most recent. We had verbal commitment via email. It's kind of a weird thing. Let's go back to the Micah negotiations last year. I've spent 5-6 hours with him myself, had a lot of discussions. Most of the issues we're in agreement on, and I've discussed it all. But we obviously don't have an agreement relative to a new contract. But that, in April of last year, projecting confidence. Micah Parsons ends up not being a Cowboy. We go to April in 2024, the Dak and CD stuff. A little bit more negative. We'd like to see some more leaves fall. We'd like to see more action. It's called option. I've spent my life being an option quarterback, whatever that means. That's just the style that you have. So you never know. You may give some money to somebody that you shouldn't have given it to. That kind of indicated, I don't know if we're going to sign these guys. He, of course, ends up signing CD and Dak. It's just going to be weird. Like this is not going to be a normal franchise tag. Every player's upset by the franchise tag. This is not going to be normal. There's going to be a shot at the agent. There's going to be a trade request. There's going to be he told us one thing and now he's doing another, because that will get us talking about them in May, June, and July, when otherwise we wouldn't be.
Yeah, so I agree that we're going to be talking about this because there will be some twists, maybe some turns, but in terms of what they can and can't do,
the practical reality of
George
the contract.
Pickens is in a situation where he has little to no leverage. And I'm being nice by saying little. And this is not because of his performance or anything. This is just the contract in how it rolls out for him. He's gotten tagged. He hasn't signed his tag. You have to actually physically sign the franchise tag, so he has to go to the facility to do that. He's not going to go out his way to do any of those things, opening up the opportunity of possible injury or anything. So all of that is null and void right now until he signs that franchise tag, which then he doesn't get fined, so there's no real reason.
He can sit out until week 10 if he wants and still accrue the league year towards free agency. It's just bad business.
So I don't think he will go into missing games. I don't think he will go into missing games.
I assume he won't either, but we'll see how ugly it gets between now and then. It's just bad business to trade a premium draft pick for a player, have him then play excellent, and then have no intention of signing him to a long-term deal, knowing that you're going to upset him with this type of franchise tag. I don't like the process.
So I don't know how ugly it can get other than George Pickens being so disgruntled to where he says, I'm not coming at all. I don't see that happening. I just don't. Like, he can feel a type of way, and I would feel a type of way. However, that's almost $30 million on the table. 27.3.
It's a good deal.
You're not just going to just say, you know what, I'm not going to do it, knowing that they can do this again next year. Like it just doesn't look good, unfortunately for George Pickens, but for the Cowboys, this is exactly what you want: a player to outperform what you put up to get him, and then be in a position where you still don't have to pay him, even though he is deserving of it. Yeah.
The name Simpson, Ty Simpson. Greg, you starting to believe that Ty Simpson's a good fit with the Rams?
So from a player perspective, absolutely. I think he's going to be a good fit. When you get drafted to a team, it's all about situation and what that situation looks like, how it best suits you. Can they maximize who you are? And I believe in Sean McVay, so I believe this is a great situation for Ty Simpson, the player. As it stands, going into the league year 2026, he's not going to provide them with anything. Not even necessarily security at the quarterback position if something were to happen to Matthew Stafford, which is why I feel like there was this consensus of, we do like the player, we want to draft the player. I don't believe Sean McVay wanted to draft him at 13.
Listen, I think that trading down and getting him makes it a lot more palatable. In theory, some other team, if they had intel, could have taken Ty Simpson. I just think that there are two truths that can exist at the same time, right? Like, we can contain multitudes. Truth number one is, this is an amazing spot for Ty Simpson.
100%.
Right? Like, you get to,
I don't think anyone would argue that.
Great coach, don't have to play, learn from a Hall of Famer, great weather, great weapons, great organization. Like, if he is going to succeed, the fit is excellent.
Correct.
For Ty Simpson. That's that part of it. Whether or not this was a good idea, I'm just shocked that Sean McVay's on board with it. And I understand the argument. The argument is, we are not going to be bad enough to draft in the top half of the first round with Matt Stafford again. We got this pick because of a trade. And so we are in a unique position to draft a quarterback prospect that we will not be whenever Stafford is ready to retire. But man, try to win this Super Bowl. Les Snead is excellent at drafting. The last time he had a pick around this pick, Simpson goes 13, he takes Jared Verse.
Jared Verse, absolutely.
You think it might have helped this team?
That phone call was a lot different.
You think it might have helped this team if they found the next Jared Verse? This is the guy who drafted Todd Gurley. This is the guy. The last time he had the 13th pick, he took a guy by the name of Aaron Donald. It worked out pretty well. Yeah. Like, so just the idea that, oh, well, they're not one receiver or one lineman or one linebacker away. Maybe. Or if you hit on the guy and you find a great linebacker or edge rusher or guard, or of course that could help you win now. And then you figure out tomorrow's problem tomorrow with who the successor is to Matt Stafford. There's no amount of logic that can make me believe that this was the right thing to do if you're trying to win the Super Bowl.
So in terms of trusting this organization and the development of this pick in Ty Simpson, in solidifying your future moving forward, I do trust that. And I believe that was a process. They thought through all of those things. In terms of the head coach, Sean McVay, acquiring in this year's draft, saying, you know what, when you look at our draft board, Ty Simpson is the number one draftee on that board. I do not believe that was the case.
It seems impossible to believe.
I do not believe that.
It seems impossible.
I do believe he was higher on clearly he was higher on their draft board than possibly some others.